for their top scorer Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. And after scoring twice in his team's win at Huddersfield last night, the Flying Dutchman was remaining coy about his future.
I don't think that is the proper time to talk about it, and I don't think that is very nice towards Leeds to say something about it. I just keep on working, and on this moment that's the main thing. I'm not going to say nothing about my contract, and I'm not going to say nothing about other things.
Hasselbaink headed Leeds in front at the McAlpine Stadium after some good work from Harry Kewell. And later on he ran at the defence before finding the top corner. A £10 million finish, you might say. Hasselbaink also had a hand in the fifth of the night, finished off at the far post by that man Kewell.
United's Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink has asked the club for a transfer after being given a take-it-or-leave-it offer to stay at Elland Road. The club, who recently turned down a £10 million bid from Atlético Madrid, say they've offered the Dutch striker the most lucrative contract in their history. But Hasselbaink wants them to match Atletico's offer of £40,000 a week.
Strikers and top players, Derm, because Blake wants away from Bradford City,
yeah.
Carboni's not exactly happy at Sheffield Wednesday, and now Hasselbaink. Any thoughts?
That's what it is, Harry. It's all about money, I'm afraid. It's that time of year, and that is why, with just 8 days left of the football season to start, Leeds United's preparations have been hit with the news that top striker Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink wants to leave the club. 24 hours after Leeds rejected a £10 million bid from Atlético Madrid, the player this morning handed in a transfer request, which the club have since turned down. Ian Dennis reports from Elland Road.
Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink has been somewhat of a cult figure at Elland Road, his popularity with the fans off the field matching his impact on it. But he might not be associated with Leeds for much longer because he wants away, and supporters feel betrayed by his actions.
For all of a sudden to go what appears to be for the money, when, you know, really, Jimmy, you know, it's the start of something really great here.
I do feel a bit aggrieved though, because I think that we're at the same team without him. I think we could really challenge for top honours.
Do you have a message for Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy, please can you stay? You've been one of the best players. Thank you.
If Hasselbaink maintains his refusal to sign a new contract and a renewed offer comes in from Atlético Madrid, Peter Ridsdale told me they would then have to make a decision in the best interests of Leeds United. They've done everything in their power to satisfy his wage demands, yet it's another case of player power, and ultimately every player has a price, especially one that wants to leave. Signed as a virtual unknown 2 years ago, the Dutchman has been a big success and a major threat to opposing sides with his pace, power and deadly finishing. But it appears he's not committed to the club, so it could be the end of the road with Leeds United. Adios to Elland Road, with Europe his destination. Ian Dennis, Look North, Leeds.
Reports are suggesting that the 27-year-old striker is currently undergoing a medical in Spain ahead of a £12 million transfer to Atlético Madrid. The unsettled Dutchman asked for a transfer from Elland Road after the club turned down his demands for a pay rise, which it said would have seen him earning over £40,000 a week.
Who's their striker Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink? United have accepted a £12 million offer from the Spanish giants Atlético Madrid, subject to a medical on the 27-year-old player. The unsettled Dutchman asked for a transfer from Elland Road after the club turned down his demands for a pay rise, which would have seen him earning over £40,000 a week. Some fans felt he was being too greedy, and outside Elland Road this evening, this was the reaction to the news.
12 million, I'd definitely get rid of him. He's a good player in that lot, but I think we could do a bit better for 12 million.
I've started wearing it for work now. That's all it's fit for.
Well, if Jimmy doesn't want to stay, I can't see that there's any point in keeping him, but I think it's very, very sad.
I ain't really bothered.
Well, if he's no loyalty for the club, he wants to get himself off.
I would like Owen to come there to Leeds.
I'm shocked. We made him the player he was, and he's now gone.
I think it is greed. I think he went, what did he want, about 45,000, and we were giving him 25, or offering him 25. Yes, that's greedy. I think we can do without him.
I ain't bothered. Karen Petch, let's confess it in public. You're a Leeds United supporter, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
So your feelings about Mr. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink?
Or to keep it clean, since it is a family show, I really think it's scandalous. I don't see how any man could say that he should be worth over £40 a week, £1,000 a week. It's not worth £40 in the fans' opinion at the moment, I don't think.
The great defence, isn't it? Defence that it's a short life, the player's life. But my answer to that is none of the enough
Yeah.
by the age of 30 to rest for the rest of our lives, do we?
Plus
Or do you?
Well, no, I just think it's the timing as well. Start of the new season, the club are ready.
But we aren't allowed to editorialise, of course.
No.
On we go.
Star striker Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink away from Elland Road. But it's left many fans thinking that the transfer market in football has gone mad. The Dutchman's ability can't be faulted. Last season he was the Premiership's joint top scorer. But it's this latest record that soured his love affair with the Leeds fans. The £12 million offered to lure him to the Spanish club, Atlético Madrid, more than doubles the amount for any other footballer to come or go from one of our top sides. Now the hunt's on to find another hot shot striker at Elland Road. Well, our reporter Tanya Arnold joins us live now from the ground. Tanya.
Well, here at Elland Road, Peter Ridsdale's just returned back from doing all the dealing down in London. Peter, obviously disappointed at losing Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink in the end.
Yeah, it's a sad day today. At the end of the day, we didn't want this disruption before the season started, but I think that it was getting in the way of pre-season preparation. There's a player who clearly wanted to go. We've had a bid that we believe, in the circumstances, acceptable. And if a player wants away, you've got to, at some stage, draw a line in the sand and say, let's get on with our future.
Do you think this is getting out of hand? I mean, he was talking of strikes, he'd asked for ridiculous amounts of money. Do you think football is beginning to get out of hand, really?
Well, the disappointment is you sign a 4-year deal and after 2 years you want to tear it up. And I think that contracts ought to be two-sided. We were paying his wages. If we hadn't have been, he'd have been screaming from the rooftops. But at the end of the day, you know, he's decided he wants to go. It's very disappointing, but we've got some fantastic players here at Elland Road, and the Hasselbaink situation was overshadowing what I think are the good things, and that's the young lads we've got, the experienced lads and the new signings.
What happens now?
We've got a game against Derby County.
But presumably you'll want to bring in another striker.
Well, David's got money to spend. He had money before this situation with Jimmy. He's now got a bit more than he had before. He knows it's there to spend. He'll spend it wisely. We won't knee-jerk react. Regrettably, some people might now think that the money we've got means that they'll put the prices up. So we'll be cautious in what we're doing. But David will add to the squad as soon as he wants to.
Just finally, what are your emotions about this whole experience?
I feel very disappointed. I feel no elation about the money we've got. But on the other hand, I can now look forward to Saturday. And the last few days, frankly, I haven't been able to. I've been more worried about trying to resolve this situation.
Okay, thanks ever so much for joining us, Peter.
Okay.
No doubt there will be a new striker brought here to Elland Road. We'll keep you up to date with that.
Thanks very much, Tanya.
First tonight, it's been revealed today that the wage demands of footballer Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink would have put him on double the salary of Britain's highest paid soccer player. It was first thought that the Leeds United striker wanted £40,000 to £45,000 a week to stay with the club. Well, today it emerged the figure was actually £60,000 each week.
Hasselbaink is currently in Spain, tying up the loose ends of a £12 million move to Atlético Madrid. On the streets of Leeds, though, the reaction was one of disgust. This report from Don Riddell.
As Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink contemplates just exactly how he's going to spend his newfound fortune, his old employers were left to ponder his motives.
Reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly, if that wasn't about money, I don't know, then maybe I'm getting it wrong.
Not only had he threatened Leeds with strike action, but initial reports about his wage demands were way off the mark.
I've seen quotes of 45,000. I think you're being modest to Jimmy on that one, honestly. I wouldn't like to say, but I think you'd be disappointed if you're only saying that, honestly.
The entire saga has stunned not only the fans, but those in every walk of life.
I think it's scandalous, really, isn't it? Nobody should be paid that much, really. The average fan earns maybe 12 or 15,000, and he wants 60,000 a year. It's not really on, is it?
They can sort of charge that much money for doing something they like doing. If you want to play for Leeds, you need to be committed to Leeds, and obviously he's not.
And the problem is by no means unique to Leeds. Newly promoted Bradford City had to transfer list 3 of their players who wanted more.
I never blame a player for asking. We are prepared to pay the going rate for the players, but we're not prepared to go above that.
And it's been reported that £29,000 a week wasn't good enough for Sheffield Wednesday's Benito Carboni.
It's more bothered about the money than the club, then God, it's not bothered about the football club, you just want money and money and more money.
Tonight, Mr. Hasselbaink's house in Leeds is empty, and it's emerged that despite his astronomical salary, the local council have summoned him to court over an unpaid tax bill. But does anyone have the solution to a problem that could destroy the beautiful game?
I haven't got a clue. I'm only a young, naive manager. I'm just learning my trade. I haven't got a clue on that one.
And Jeffrey Richmond, obviously the chairman, not the manager. We haven't demoted him, Mr. Richmond. Now, Don Riddell with that report, and joining us now is Peter Lorimer, former star, of course, of Leeds United and of Scotland. Peter, first of all, quite simply, your reaction to the whole shenanigans surrounding the move of Hasselbaink?
Well, the last couple of weeks it's been obvious that he was going to have to move, because they do have a wage structure at Ellen Road, and everybody knew that Jimmy had already plans to go to Madrid, and it was just a matter of time. I am delighted it's happened before the season actually gets underway.
But a lot of harsh words have been spoken, and some very fair words have been spoken about, you know, a player's career is short. But where do you stand? I mean, a lot of people have been sickened by this. Yeah, it is disappointing because, you know, Leeds have been so optimistic about the new season, and Jimmy was one of the main players, obviously, top goal scorer last year, and endeared himself to the fans, and all of a sudden he's leaving, and for money. I think that's what's upsetting people. You stayed 17 seasons in an unbroken spell at Leeds United. Now, how loyal are the fans going to remain if this kind of sickness carries on? Well, this is a problem. I mean, it will sicken a lot of fans off. Certainly the older ones. I mean, the young ones, they don't really know what's going on, but a lot of the older fans, you know, they think they go to work every day and work very hard for a wage and earn the wage, and all of a sudden a football player to be earning that kind of money, it must upset them greatly. But let's whiz you into the current team, right? And you're Peter Lorimer, the flying Scotsman, playing brilliantly. An agent walks up to Ridsdale and says, "Yeah, I can get him twice. I can get you twice that." Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, Don Revie once told us players that he had a pile of offers on the table for every player at the club, because we had 16 internationals. But we were so happy to be playing at Ellen Road, and we were winning things, and it was a good place to be. We wanted to be at Ellen Road. You see, you were genuinely stuck at Leeds out of the fun you were having, success you were having, and you would have ignored piles of money, would you? Yeah, well, we would have obviously got good transfer fees going. We were all very highly rated players. But the thing was, we were winning things at Leeds, and we were happy at Leeds, and we were being looked after properly at Leeds. And I don't think anybody ever asked for a transfer all the time I was there. Some people say buy British, don't they? Thanks, Peter Lorimer, for joining us. Thanks very much indeed.
Hey rebel in Madrid is Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. He's having a medical ahead of his £12 million move from Leeds to Atlético. But David O'Leary has launched a stinging attack on the striker, saying he left Elland Road for only one reason: money.
Hasselbank's Madrid welcome was a little more subdued than Anelka's. Atlético are the poor relations in this city, and they've paid only £12 million for their new striker. Hasselbaink, though, was simply delighted to have finally arrived in Spain.
Well, I know that it's a very big club, and a lot of very good players play at Atlético, and I'm thinking I'm a very happy man to join the club.
No, it's not angry Leeds fans attaching electrodes to their former striker. This is Hasselbaink embarking on his medical. But he's well aware by now that back in Yorkshire, he's left behind a lot of angry people.
I thought, reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly, if that wasn't about money, I don't know, then maybe I'm getting it wrong when he's sitting me there. A lot of you have written good articles about it. And all I'd like to say is that I've seen quotes of 45,000. I think you're being modest to Jimmy on that one, honestly. I wouldn't like to say, but I think you'd be disappointed if you're only saying that, honestly.
Even on his huge new wages, he's got a tough challenge with Atlético. The famous red and white shirts had a poor season, outclassed by Valencia in the Spanish Cup final. They also flirted with relegation and changed their coach 4 times, the latest of which says Juninho is not part of his long-term plans. But Leeds also have problems on the eve of the new season. They've lost the blistering pace and power of their leading scorer, and the Leeds kids have also lost the influence of an experienced player.
I think the kids need an older person now, and we've been left short in that department. Exactly so. But we've got to go and get somebody now. We won't be able to get somebody this week, next week. That's going to take time.
So the end of another sorry transfer saga where player power has won again, and having created the hassle, he now heads to the bank. Guy Havord, Sky Sports.
He didn't leave Leeds United because of money, but because he wanted more emotional satisfaction, whatever that means. Well, in the latest of our football previews, Tanya looks at life without the hassle and how a Belgium is hoping to become famous in Sheffield.
David O'Leary had come to talk about the new season. He inevitably found himself, though, answering questions about the departure of his leading goalscorer, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink.
Reading the text last night, that was nothing about money from his agent. Well, Jesus, lads, honestly, if that wasn't about money, I don't know then. Maybe I'm getting it wrong when he said me there. A lot of you have written good articles about it, and all I'd like to say is that I've seen quotes of 45,000. I think you're being modest to Jimmy on that one, honestly. I wouldn't like to say, but I think you'd be disappointed if you're only saying that, honestly.
10 weeks which have shown in football money no longer talks, it shouts. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's the latest to prove that these days contracts mean nothing. He won't be the last.
I said to him, if you broke your leg, heaven forbid, you'd expect us to pay your contract. He says, yeah, I would. So that's, that's the way certain players feel. But they feel the other way as well. They can just walk out when they want to.
From the comments I've seen that Jimmy's made, he's never said he's unhappy. He's now said it wasn't money either, so I'm not quite sure why he's gone. At the end of the day, I think we just have to acknowledge that certain players, and there are signs that some of these players have got things in common. For example, they're not homegrown, they haven't been in the Premiership for many years. They see this as a stepping stone, and I think when we're signing players in the future, we have to take that into account before we decide to pay big fees.
Throughout the division, footballers are trying to force back the financial boundaries. Bradford's promotion to the Premiership prompted some pie-in-the-sky wage demands, but City won't cave in. Instead of paying up, they put 3 men on the transfer list.
I think it's part of learning, isn't it? I mean, it happens at every football club. If it happens at Arsenal, it's going to happen at Bradford. The game has changed a lot towards players that do have more power now. But you just got to get on with it and deal with it as you think's right, and that's what we've done.
Well, if I saw the car in front of me driving over the cliff, I can promise you I wouldn't follow him. I'd stick to the road, and if there are lunatics out there that want to do crazy things, well, let them do it. We certainly will follow them. There is anarchy, there is chaos in the marketplace at the moment. How one controls the activities of agents, I'm not quite sure. But I think the bottom line is that 92 professional clubs have the answer, and that's common sense.
2 words not normally associated with Nicola Anelka. While he counts his cash in Madrid, our clubs are adding up the options for change.
The actual manager or agent of the player who brings the player to the club in the first place, very often it's the same individual who is responsible for moving him on to another club, and that cannot be right in football, and we've just got to make sure it doesn't happen any further.
I think that agents need to agree that if they bring a player to a club, they will have no rights without the club's permission to move that player on during the contract. I'd have had no problem if Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink had said after 4 years here, I've enjoyed my time, I'd like to go somewhere else. That's his right. His contract would have expired. But 2 years into a 4-year deal, it leaves a bitter taste.
And certainly at the next Premier League meeting, I will be proposing, and I'll also consult my colleagues on the FA, to make sure there is more robust legislation put in place to avoid situations like this where players get unsettled.
Player power is getting stronger and stronger, and there are unscrupulous people who are taking advantage of that. It's in our best interest as football agents to sort this business out. As I don't want to be tarnished as the bad guy, because we're not. We provide a service more than what people see and what people read in the papers.
Darren Anderton's dispute with Spurs suggests there's no sign of the wage inflation slowing. While the chairmen seek a solution, the managers face the fact that economics dictate there's no quick fix.
The ultimate is if a player doesn't honour his contract, you stay in the reserves. Take Arsenal. Will they let Nicola Anelka rot there for 3 years or whatever, saying honour your contract and turn down 22 million? Takes a lot of doing. So whether I can see that ever happen, no. I can't see clubs biting the bullet that severely.
When you talk to people around, you talk to people in the pubs, on the street and things, there's a few footballers who are giving a lot of footballers a bad name. What do you think about this as a player?
Gabby, I've got strong feelings on this. I mean, we've heard an awful lot about Nicola Anelka and Jimmy Hasselbaink. And I've got to say, if I'm going to talk from a player's point of view, and I think I'm qualified to do that because I played his 14 years as a player. They're an absolute disgrace. They're abysmal. They've got no right to be part of the players' union. They've let themselves down, the clubs and the players. I mean, there's no part for people like that in English football. Get them out.
So we're well rid of them then, you're saying. But is it a different situation to the likes we're seeing today of Darren Anderton and Francis Jeffers? Is that all?
Yeah, of course it's different. It's very different because what Darren Anderton's doing, he's exercising the right to negotiate his contract. It's very different actually saying, look, I'm not going to play for your club anymore. I want to go and play for somebody else. I want £70,000 in wages. Darren Anderton's not doing that. What he's doing is he's saying, look, I deserve a pay deal. I deserve a length of contract. The disagreement is with Tottenham. They're saying, no, you can't. That's all normal. The difference there with Jeff is it is slightly different because he's a young lad. We don't know the full story, but there's obviously been a fallout, and he's looking for more and more money. We don't know the ins and outs, but it's very, very different to Anelka and Hasselbaink, who we are well rid of.
I hate to say, but I think we'll hear more of it. Something's got to be done, obviously.
Atletico Madrid had a season best forgotten last time. Several key players injured, including Kiko and Correa. Coach Arrigo Sacchi resigning in February, and the return of Radi Antic really failing to turn around the Rojiblancos fortunes. Well, as we've seen, they did make the Copa del Rey final, but 13th place in La Liga was really dismal, and Antic paid the price. So what about the new season? Well, Rob Palmer has been to see new signing Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink, and he started by asking him about his rather acrimonious departure from Leeds United.
There are a lot of things happened and what not supposed to be happen, but I'm gonna leave it like it is and move on with my life. I was supposed to stay there. I was supposed to sign a new contract and feel happy.
Your beef and your argument is with Leeds United. What do you have to say to those fans who are a little mystified by what went on?
To those fans, I've got to say they've supported me for the 2 years, and I had 2 great years, and I really felt at home. And yeah. I have to do what is right for me, but I really enjoyed it at Leeds, and Leeds is still in my heart, but after what happened, I could not stay anymore.
What do you make of the move to Atlético Madrid? This is one of the biggest clubs in Europe, and it's possibly bigger than Leeds United in some ways, isn't it?
It is a bigger club than Leeds, but it is very nice, and it's a big club. A lot of people come to training and watch the trainings. They've got a lot of ambitions, so I think eventually it's a good move for me.
Did you know much about the team and about the coach before you signed for them?
Yes, and I knew Ranieri from Fiorentina and Valencia, and then here, and I knew, of course, a lot of Real Madrid. Real Madrid.
They're the rivals, you shouldn't mention them.
They are the rivals.
You're the idea as well.
Yes. No, but of course I knew what I was doing. Yeah.
Tell me about the team, because he's brought a lot of players, and they're going to be rivaling Barcelona and Real Madrid for the La Liga title this season, I would imagine.
They want to go for a Champions League spot, and I think it's possible because he's bought a lot of new players and a lot of good players. They spent a lot of money this summer, so yeah, a lot of young players as well, like Leeds, you know, enthusiastic and want to win things and want to show what they can. So yeah, it's more or less the same team as Leeds, with some older guys and some young players.
Well, he's got a nice smile on his face, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink, but I suspect there has been really a pretty nasty taste left in the mouth by what happened at Leeds during the summer. Jerry, you've spoken to David O'Leary about it. It wasn't quite as simple as we've just heard.
No, I mean, David obviously was very disappointed that he did sign for Atletico Madrid. From what David was telling me, it was money orientated, and he wasn't happy with his departure at all. And it's a blow to Leeds losing Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. I think he's a natural goal scorer, and they could certainly have done with him, but at least they did get 12 million for him, which was not a bad fee.
So good business.
Good business from
but they've
Leeds'
lost
point
a good
of view,
player.
but they've lost a good player, and I think they were disappointed the way it all panned out in the end.
And Guillaume, what was the mood in Spain? What was the reaction into Spain to yet another controversial transfer?
It is, but another story that filled the pages of the press for many weeks, for many days more than likely. But Atlético Madrid has been after Hasselbaink for weeks or even months, really. Yeah. He was in the top of the list. There was Martin Palermo, just right until the moment that he failed to miss the 3 penalties. Right until there, he was the top of the list. But then
in the Copa America, of course.
In the Copa America, and Hasselbaink was another one. And they even tried to get Inzaghi, but finally Hasselbaink came because they had the money to pay for him.
So is he going to make any difference? Will he be good enough to fire them?
I think he will be. There's a problem with the number 9s in Atlético Madrid. They've got these cares because Kiko had got injured, Correa got injured, Vieri just left at the beginning of last season, just 2 days before the deadline to sign players. So it's been problems with the number 9, and they're really hoping to get from Hasselbaink what they expect, which is goals, and he's already promised to score more goals than Anelka.
Right, let's take a check then on the changes that have happened at Atlético Madrid. Of course, a new coach, Claudio Ranieri. We've discussed him. He's a significant mover in the coaching market, obviously a very successful man. Those are the players out, Jerry. No major surprises there?
No, defensively, Serena and Teresi have gone, but I feel he's actually replaced them with better players. And Jugovic, who didn't really do it for me at Atlético Madrid, has gone to Inter, and Juan Gonzalez has gone back to Oviedo. So, I mean, no big surprises for me there.
And Hasselbaink, again, I've asked him, what do you think? Is he going to make any difference?
Well, with Kiko, that's going to be a tremendous partnership. And I think defensively with Gamara in the centre defence, he is outstanding, and that'll be tremendous. And there's good competition for goalkeepers with Tony in there now, and Capdevila down the left-hand side. Well, you know, he's going to be a fantastic player as well. So I think Atlético Madrid have got a very good team for next year and have a real chance of making the top 4.